Welcome back to my Colorado Mountain Garden and Homestead. Hope you've had a productive weekend. Ours was filled with cleaning out beds and things like that. So my potato beds are all ready for the potatoes, but we've got some cold coming in late in the week, so they probably won't get planted until Sunday. And I do have to cut some of my potatoes, which I really don't like to do. But what I got from where I bought them, some of them were huge, and it is what it is. But when I do that, I'll probably make another video. And that's probably going to be Wednesday or Thursday if I'm not going to plant them till Sunday. So it gives time for the fleshy side of the potatoes to kind of scab over or dry out. The other thing I'm starting this week are my tomato seeds. I went ahead and made up my baggies here with paper towel. It'll probably be late Tuesday or Wednesday for sure. Could be late Tuesday. These will be in a tray that's on top of a heat mat while they're germinating. They don't have to have light, but I have a few other things, smaller things on that shelf, so the light will probably be on. When I go through, I'll tell you which ones I saved my own seeds from. These are all varieties I have grown before, and I will be starting a few others, but I'm not going to go into those today, and trying them for the first time. Those won't necessarily have a home in my big greenhouse, which is where I grow most of the tomatoes. If I have room in the hoop house, they'll go in there. If not, I have a protected outside bed that I'll start those in, but hoping to get them either in the big greenhouse or the hoop house. But I'm going to lean more towards the big hoop house, and they will probably be in raised beds rather than pots. So if I get that far and I have room, as they grow, I'll have videos growing through the summer. But so, as you guys have been seeing on my videos, I grew Tiny Tims and Orange Hat tomatoes. They are micro dwarf in my home over the winter, and those plants are still going gangbusters, although they're going to get moved out of the grow tent to make room for my peppers and the tomatoes to come. So they won't be getting as much light. They'll just be in front of a window. If they die, they die. They're actually have almost run their course, but I still have a lot of tomatoes on them. So mostly just waiting for those to ripen up. Tiny Tim is a micro dwarf. It gets to be about 18 to 24 inches tall. When I grew them in the house here, I didn't have any over 18 inches, but out when I grow them out in the greenhouse, they get a little bit bigger. These were seeds I saved myself. The micro dwarf Orange Hat is the other one that you've been seeing on some of my videos that I grew throughout the winter. They outside they top out at 18 inches, but typically don't get more than 12 inches. Both these two varieties, the Tiny Tim and the Orange Hat, are great if you only have a small area. So let's say you're just going to grow some tomatoes on your deck. Now these are cherry tomatoes, but they're very prolific. Both of them are, especially when they have access to sun. Now, when I grew them on the deck, I do have like an upper deck above. So they would get they would get some southern sun, but mostly sun from the west. And I didn't have to worry about them after it warmed up, about hail and things because they were under that deck. Again, these seeds I've saved myself. The other dwarf that made it this year, and it's not a micro dwarf, it's just a regular dwarf. It is the Dwarf Arctic Rose. I did save seeds. It's about 60 days to maturity. And keep in mind, that's once you put that larger plant in your garden or in your container, that you start that 60-day clock counting. Okay, you don't start it from the day you start the seeds. These get to be about 3 to 4 feet tall. They are an indeterminate, but they stay pretty small. And the best way I can describe to you about the size on these and kind of like the flush that you'll get on them is if you buy vine ripened tomatoes at the grocery store, that's about the size of these tomatoes. So they're really good for sandwiches, salads. If you get too many, you can always cook them down and make sauces. You can dehydrate them to make a powder for tomato paste. It's limitless. Now, the Arctic Rose, the one thing I do want to tell you is does not have as much acid as some tomatoes. So people who have problems with acid in their tomatoes, this is a good one for you. Again, 60 days to maturity, so works well up here at altitude, 3 to 4 feet tall. It does need support, being a cage and or, like a tall bamboo stick. So you will get suckers, and those should be, kept at bay as best as possible. But these were awesome last year. It was the best of the dwarfs that I grew last year. I had pretty good success with most of my dwarfs, but this one I brought back this year. Again, making the cut always here at my house is the Better Bush. It is a determinate tomato, meaning it grows like a bush. But I have gotten up to 1 pound tomatoes off of these Better Bushes. I would say that that is an exception to the rule. Typically about 8 to 12 ounces is what you're going to see in these. And because we have a slow growing season up here, it takes a little bit longer than maybe if you were in a southern state. But even if you were in a southern state, these are great. They are great patio or deck containers. At least 5 gallons per plant. 5-gallon pot per plant. If you want to plant 10-gallon per pot, that's fine. They do get really wide. And so that's why they produce so many tomatoes. So they stay short and wide. And these ones I did save seed. No, I did not save seeds. I'm starting with seeds that I have in a packet. The Ace 55 is a semi-determinate tomato. Again, these kind of, as far as size, looks like those vine-ripened tomatoes. Since it's a semi-determinate, it's more forgiving if you don't pull suckers off. If I start pulling suckers off, it's usually later in the year as I'm trying to get the fruiting to go. And last but not least, this year it's coming back again. These were seeds that were purchased. The black crim. I love black crims, and these plants get really, really tall. So they will be in the big hoop house. You have to support them all the way up, and you do need to take the suckers off. So they're making it back here at my home. And again, I mentioned that I've got some new ones. None of them are dwarf. It came from a package of tomatoes that my husband got me of short season tomatoes, but I'm not doing any more cherry tomatoes. There were a lot of cherry tomatoes in there. I'm just going to give a try to a few of the other ones. If they work out well, I will look for them again next year. I don't necessarily think that I will save them as seeds. And again, all of these will get started either late Tuesday. When I say by late, it's probably going to be after 5 o'clock or Wednesday morning. I have errands and stuff to run. And again, we are to get some more cold weather and snow Friday, Saturday, and maybe some rain on Sunday. So that's why that's coming back in. If I get time tomorrow after I get some things done, I'm going to be starting some spinach and lettuce, and I'll come back and do another video on that. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Happy gardening. Until we get this, if you live in my area, until we get some moisture, please be safe out there with any fires that you're burning, your charcoal grills and stuff like that, because it is so dry out there. We don't want any wildfires to happen.